Qatar has presented a self-assessment to the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva on its treatment of migrant workers. Qatar will host the Football World Cup in 2022, but that has drawn attention to conditions for workers, particularly those in construction and domestic maids. Here are some of the criticisms. First, there are the conditions inside the workers' camps. Activists have called them squalid and cramped. Then there's the kafala system. Foreign workers are sponsored by their employers. This makes it difficult for people to change jobs or even leave the country without an exit permit. Qatar's also been criticised for poor safety standards on some building sites. And Amnesty International says that the number of domestic workers in Qatar, a number of them are being physically and sexually abused by their employers.
Most countries who have happened to host major international events in such case, or an Olympic or the World Cup, will always be facing the spotlight. But what we have heard today really gives us the confidence that we are on the right directions and on the right track. The commitment is very strong, but one has to also balance the requirements and the responsibility on the basis we're talking about a developing nation which needs to meet its most important obligations and gradually move into the next level.
Well, Michael Stevens is the Deputy Director of the Royal United Services Institute in Qatar. Joins us now live from London. Thanks very much for being with us. We've got the Qatari government there sounding pretty upbeat about the situation for workers improving. But when they say they're on the right track, what have they actually done?
Well, at the moment, there's been a lot of rhetoric. There's been a lot of discussion about what might change, what kind of implementations we might see in terms of enforcing labour rights, stepping up inspections, holding certain companies to account that break the laws. But I think we've not had any quantitative analysis as to the actual change that some of these measures have yet taken. So it's a little bit early right now, given that this whole crisis, if you like, around human rights is only really 6-7 months old, to make a proper judgment as to exactly what Qatar has done. Certainly we've not seen any substantive legal changes yet. We hope that those are coming, and I think that the Qatari government is working assiduously along with some human rights organisations, the UN as well, to try and change that in accordance with international laws and better enforce those policies. But at the moment it's mostly talk and we've yet to see real substance.
Yeah. Do you think there is any sense of urgency here?
I think there's a sense of urgency amongst some top policy makers in Doha. I think that they feel extremely hurt by the criticism which has come their way, particularly since the Guardian newspaper launched a stinging attack on Qatar's human rights record. So yes, there is evidence that people at the top are taking this issue seriously and are trying to work to correct it. But again, you know, Qatar is still a developing nation. It's quite a top-heavy government. So some of these legislations and some of these ideas take a while to filter down to the bottom. And actually, the implementation phase is a lot more complicated. And I think there we've got some problems with urgency.
And what do you think are the most urgent challenges that need to be addressed?
Well, I think your report accurately identified a few of those. Workers' rights, working hours, temperatures. There are issues to do with young men dying in quite disproportionately high numbers. In my own research, I've uncovered quite a lot of incidences of sexual abuse not being actually reported to superiors. So these issues have to be looked at. I think the big one that everybody's talking right now is this issue about the kafala system or the sponsorship system. And this has been heavily debated recently, and it's a debate which thankfully is now beginning in Qatar, and it's the first we're seeing really of a detailed conversation about trying to end this particular system of employment.
Okay, Michael Stevens, thanks very much for joining us there from London. Good to speak to you.
Thank you.
Now, Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba has filed documents to sell